Hear me out on this. Do you suppose that Hunt a Killer would ever set up a situation where the person that hired us, the person that is contacting us every box, is the actual killer? Now, I don't have any proof that Franny Rollins is the murderer. I don't have any proof that she's done anything. There are just a few things to me that make her behavior a little bit suspicious. And I'm going to talk about those after we finish getting through what we need to get through today. So let's begin the investigation. Hi, Detective. I've been spending more time with Reggie lately. We've been talking a lot about Ashley, how she always offered me a lift home after we met up because she knew how long my bus ride was. How she taught herself how to make pozole because it's Reggie's favorite. We've been talking a lot about our investigation too. They told me they want to know everything, so we've been going over every little detail you and I have uncovered again and again. It seems to be helping them feel like they can do something about what happened. I'm not going to lie, it's also been helping me. I feel like I have a little bit of Ashley back, along with discovering a new friend who belongs in my life. I hope they feel the same way about me. After you helped me find that video of Judith, Reggie and I got to talking about the car crash. We know the crash is what set Judith off that evening at the club. So it seems likely that's what Ashley was asking her about when they argued earlier in the day. But what did that crash have to do with the big story Ashley was working on? Reggie gave me a whole bag of Ashley's research material to pass along to you, and it seems like she was digging up info on someone named Angel Silva. I did a little digging of my own, and here's one thing. Angel's trail goes completely cold around the time of the car crash. So who the hell is Angel Silva? You're the pro here, but a mysterious disappearance that Ashley was actively pursuing before being murdered, it has to be connected. I've got to stay focused on my job at the mayor's office for a little bit, so just message me on the app when you have the full name of someone who might be Angel in disguise. Use the password Black Hat to log in this time. Take care and be safe. Okay, so we've been given our assignment. We need to figure out who may or may not be Ashley Silva. Angel Silva, I'm sorry. And so let's go through the rest of the materials in the box. This is the note that Reggie sent to us. Dear Detective, thank you so much. It's a relief to have your help. Frannie says she couldn't have gotten this far without you. Sometimes I think just the three of us are the only ones who actually care about what truly happened to my sister. I have some more stuff for you, things from Ashley's desk that I think are related to her investigation. I'm sending them in the bag Ashley insisted on using until the city outlawed plastic bags. Anytime someone asked her about her bag, she'd start rattling off statistics about the half-life of plastic. It was just one of the things she did to try to make the world a better place. I hope it brings you the same joy it brought Ashley. I hope Frannie got it to you okay. Speaking of, I've been spending more time with Frannie too. For someone who spends all of their time in a basement, she knows a remarkable amount about plants. Ashley was right. Frannie has very strong opinions about burritos. Her encyclopedic knowledge of all of the delivery menus in this town is almost scary. I'll keep on going. I'll keep on doing my best to help. I may not be as sharp as my sister, but I'm every bit as stubborn. I know how to press on with a noble cause. I need answers. Ashley deserves them. With love and gratitude, Reggie Mendoza. P.S. Ashley had this bobblehead sitting on her desk. She said that when she didn't know what else to do, she felt good to flick TFC in the face. It hurts to know I'll never get up in the middle of the night and find her... I lost my place. it hurt to find out. I never get up in the middle of the night to find her still awake, making notes on an interview or editing a post for her blog for the millionth time. But giving up some of her stuff is forcing me to confront the truth of what's happened, even though I'm not ready to move on. Not at all. I feel you, Reggie. It's rough to get over someone that you lost. That brings us to the next thing, and it's a newspaper clipping, and I just put the what was on the back, the advertisement that was on the back of this paper clipping, just for flavor. Your driver is here. A popular new phone application wants to drive wherever possible. Wants to drive wherever possible, but can you trust the people behind the wheel? After launching in major cities across America, including several in Arizona, the rideshare private taxi company Carpool has taken off with tech-savvy early investors and passengers in need of a ride. I don't see the problem with Carpool. We use it all the time over in Copper Cliffs, said Arizona native Angel Silva after leaving a Carpool sign-up event. I'm sure they vet drivers and everything. However, a review of the Carpool certified drivers in Coconino County has revealed some shocking behavior and dangerous driving among the pool of potential chauffeurs. With a range of drivers from those possessing violent criminal histories to those with a wanton disregard for posted speed limits, Carpool looks to be sticking up to their promise that anyone can drive for Carpool, and that should scare you. One of the most heinous discoveries during our research was the criminal record of Carpool driver Dan Clark. Clark went on a year-long crime spree that ended with an attempted murder of his employer. After his arrest, Carr was charged with a litany of other violent and destructive acts, like the looting and arson of a Valmart warehouse and the desecration of a grave. Clark served 15-year sentence before receiving an early release for good behavior. On the less violent but no less concerning end, among the 157 full or part-time Carpool drivers in Coconino County, there are over 400 citations for reckless driving, speeding, driving with a suspended license, driving with impaired or failure to control vehicle, but only around 10% of current Carpool drivers are responsible for those violations, such as the one Gertrude Stump of Florida, who holds 42 of these citations alone. For unsuspecting users, this means you have a 1 in 10 chance of getting picked up by a dangerous and unlawful driver. When asked for comment, Alex Zohar, Director of Public Relations for Carpool, said, "While it's certainly possible for bad drivers to make it into the system is also designed to quickly identify and remove them from the pool of possible drivers through a robust user review process. Because Carpool drivers are independent contractors and not formal employees, Carpool can absorb no liability if things were to take a wrong turn. Carpool might be affordable, but it also seems to be rather precarious. Remember to do your research, use common sense, and stay safe while riding." So the one thing I want to add here, and I get it, but 42 violations for a driver, like if those are all coming up on a background check, that means they're within 2 or 3 years for moving violations, I think. So I don't know. Like, I think she'd be at her point maximum, and I don't know if she'd still have her license. But that's neither here nor there. The next thing we have is this brochure, this flyer that was in Ashley's bag. And apparently the night of the crash, the event at the country club was a silent date auction. And these 3 gentlemen were up for bidding upon. And the only one of note that I want to mention is we see here Louis Vanzetti. Bio, a romancer with the blood of the Romans. Louis Vanzetti is the tall, dark, and handsome gentleman you've been waiting for. He might have been a business major, but make no mistake, Louis is no stranger to pleasure, and he's happy to mix the two whenever possible. He was nominated by Harold Richards. Louis is the man, the absolute man. If there's anybody I could trust with anything, it's him. I can't praise him enough. And so that's just a little flavor on the accident on Louis. We know how I feel about Lewis and the accident, but we won't get into that now. So then we have the accident report, and it doesn't really indicate anything that I saw that was crazy at all, other than well, maybe that's not on here. Hold on. Let me read this. Driver left the Copper Cliffs Country Club where he and the 3 passengers had been drinking alcohol at approximately 11:30 p.m. Driver was heading south along Condor Avenue when he lost control of the vehicle owing to intoxication and distraction from passengers. The vehicle jumped the right side shoulder where it sped down a slight slope into a nearby tree. EMS was called to the scene by the driver, where he was taken into custody after a health check and field intoxication test. Of the 3 passengers, the 2 women in the back seat were deceased by the time EMS arrived. The man in the front passenger seat sustained minor injuries and was transported to Charity East Hospital. The vehicle was towed from the scene shortly after. Additional recent tire marks from a second vehicle were present, unclear if related to the crash. Update. After examining the scene and interviewing witnesses, the additional tire marks were found to be unrelated to the crash. Okay. So I think that's all that I wanted to note on here. There's a second vehicle. The second vehicle is important. It is not unrelated. But we will get to that in a minute. Actually, let's take a pause here. I want to look at one more thing before we go further into the details of the accident. So let me stop and get to the desktop, and then we will continue. This is the article that Franny had mentioned that she left on in our app messenger thing, whatever you want to call it. The small town mayor raising big time money. Spotlight on the Thomas Ford Cross re-election campaign. Mayoral campaigns are often seen as the minor league of politics, where devoted public servants hone their skills, pleasing small local crowds in the hopes of moving up to national notoriety. But the mayor of the tiny Arizona municipality of Copper Cliffs has been playing like he's already in the majors, raising millions of dollars and his public profile in turn. Thomas Ford Cross has already been elected once to lead his hometown of Copper Cliffs, and he is currently sitting inside the mayor's office. But when a longtime rival, former friend, and fellow Copper Cliffs native Harold Richards announced his intention to challenge Cross in this year's election, Cross knew this would not be an easy campaign. That's why he decided to turn his focus towards fundraising, the key to successful campaigning. I recognize that my opponent has deep enough pockets to jeopardize my re-election, so I went all in early in developing a strategy to maximize the campaign fund and maximize its potential returns, said Cross. His strategy is a novel one. As far as small-town campaigns go, having Cross court far-flung national and multinational business owners for large donations and other material support, so far it has paid off substantially, with over $40 million raised. And while most would assume Cross's financial connections were established during his time as a venture capitalist, he gives all credit to his campaign manager, the currently unknown but inevitable rising star, Kim Barton. I'm confident in my ability to bring people over to our side, but the way Kim hustles and networks puts me to shame, said Cross. She sets up the calls, does the research, even handles the negotiations sometimes. The woman is a fundraising machine. And when asked where all of the money his campaign has raised so far is actually going, Cross pointed towards his staff. Talented people like Kim bring in a lot of money for the campaign, and in turn, the campaign can then bring in even more talented people and use that money to keep them happy and secure in their positions, said Cross. It's a good thing for Cross, at least, that his fundraising efforts are paying off. Excuse me. While his career in venture capital has kept him afloat and secured his spot in the pages of business magazines for years, Cross's net worth has been steadily falling after the cessation of mining operations at his family copper mine, located just outside of Copper Cliffs. When pressed about his personal finances, however, Cross seemed to see their decline as a virtue. It's true that the family fortune isn't what it used to be, and doubly true that I could have never financed this campaign on my own, said Cross. Unlike some people, I'm not trying to buy my position. I'm trying to make a path so that everyone in Copper Cliffs, and even some outside of it, can buy a piece of their own representation. It is characteristically forward-thinking approach to the future-oriented candidate, and one you might be seeing a lot sooner. So I just wanted to bring that up. I think that there were issues about the finances that were mentioned. I don't know if this is just flavor or if campaign finances are going to come into play in future boxes, but I just wanted to make sure that we touched on this so that it was in our minds when the issue does or doesn't come up again. Okay, let me get set up back with the rest of the presentation. And now we have the accident, or the witness statements from the accident. And the witnesses, Lewis and Harold, are the only two people that are on record as being witnesses. This is Lewis's statement first. We were at the country club for the charity party. At the end of the night, I asked Harold if I could drive on the way home. I felt sober and hadn't had too much to drink. Harold said yes. The alcohol hit me much harder than I expected. A little into the drive, a delay from the big meal I had eaten, or just one of those unfortunate circumstances. I thought I could still make it back since I know the road like the back. I know the road by heart. But I lost control because of the rain. The car swerved off the road and right into a tree before I knew what was happening. I scrambled out of the car after Harold woke me up and called 911. You know the rest. And then Harold's statement. We were at the charity auction party at the club, drinking, of course. I thought I bought the car earlier that day as an early birthday present to myself and drove it there to show it off. Around 11 p.m., the party started winding down, and the two women we had met through the auction wanted to stay out and talk a little longer. I invited them over to my place, but I was feeling really wobbly on my feet, so I asked my friend Lewis if he would drive. I gave him the keys, and we headed down Condor towards Paris Green. Lewis was driving fine for the most part. We were all laughing and having a good time, and then I guess Lewis must have lost control. The crash happened so fast I didn't even see it coming. I hit my head on the dash and blacked out for a few minutes. When I woke up, there was blood everywhere. I thought it was from me, but when I looked into the back seat to see if the girls were okay, I could tell it was theirs. Lewis was still out, but I shook him and he snapped back into consciousness. My cell phone broke in the crash, but luckily Lewis has survived and he called 911 immediately. We waited for an ambulance. By the time it got there, I realized the girls were already dead. So those are the witness statements. And I don't know what I was expecting, but they pretty much really say absolutely nothing. I mean, sort of the story that we knew already. Like I said, I don't think Harold was driving the car. I sort of think Lewis was, but I also sort of think maybe something else is going on. I still don't think Lewis is driving the car. I'm sorry, don't think Lewis is driving the car. I think Harold was, but there's also something else that we have to look at in a minute. Just keep in mind that the actual accident report said that they left the country club about 11:30, because that's important. So then we get to Angel Silva's Carpool driver profile, or his information that they have on file. And the only real important things to note, first of all, on this page, on the front page where the driver's license picture is, not a good picture, is the signature. Just keep in mind what the signature looks like. other thing we need to look at is, remember how I said they left the country club at 11:30? The accident took place at the intersection of Condor Avenue and King Street. At 11:39, Angel Silva logged in a stop at the intersection of Condor and King Street. And then, oddly enough, at 11:50, he logged in a stop at 1 Cross Street. And we already know from the first box that the crosses have a house at 1 Cross Street. So, the way I'm looking at this, 11:39, probably right around the time of the accident, car stops at Condor Avenue and King Street where the accident is, and then 11 minutes later, the car stops at the Cross home. So that's a little curious, I think. Don't know anything more about it, just that information. We'll see if that gets us somewhere in the future. The next two things we have are the cease and desist letter. Dear Ashley Mendoza, Thomas Ford Cross is a respected professional in the community and has spent his life building a positive reputation. Nevertheless, we've been informed that you have been maliciously spreading inaccurate and unfounded information that is damaging to his personal and professional character. Under Arizona case law, public figures can seek damages for defamation, that is, any published statement when the declarant makes the statement with knowledge that it was false or with reckless disregard for the truth. Morris versus Warner, and then it gives the case law. If you continue to make widely unsubstantiated claims about the mayor, the TFC re-election campaign will be forced to file a lawsuit seeking maximum damage for defamation equivalent to his projected 10-year income of $120 million. Oh goodness, they're going to sue her for $120 million. The defamation statements referenced here include, but are not limited to, all associations of Mayor Cross with his opponent's allegations of reckless or illicit behavior, improper sourcing or disbursement of campaign funds, any quid pro quo arrangements, or any and all accusations of unproven and imagined misdeeds found on your website, Mayor, she wrote, and any future reparation. And any future reporting on Mayor Cross and his campaign team that may appear there is. What is going on here with this sentence? Okay, let me start this sentence all over again. The defamatory statements referenced here include, but are not limited to, all associations of Mayor Cross with his opponent's allegations of reckless or illicit behavior, improper sourcing or disbursement of campaign funds, any quid pro quo arrangements of any kind, and all accusations of unproven and imagined misdeeds found on your website, Mayor, she wrote, and any future reporting on Mayor Cross and his campaign team that may appear there or elsewhere in print. As an alternative, should you terminate the aforementioned website, we would like to offer you a one-time payment of $95,000 for the exclusive rights to all future stories you might write on Mayor Cross and his campaign. This offer comes not out of any admission of guilt from the campaign or truth to your reporting, but out of the endless generosity of Mr. Cross himself. In addition, this shall serve as a pre-suit letter demanding that you provide a written assurance within 10 days that you will cease and desist from making further factual, untrue statements. If you do not comply with the cease and desist letter within the aforementioned time period, a lawsuit will be filed in the proper jurisdiction seeking monetary damage as well as pursuing all available legal remedies. So they are threatening to sue her for $120 million. And then they're like, but plan B is we give you $95,000 and you just leave us alone. Yeah, but they're not admitting any guilt or anything there with that. And then Ashley is getting a letter from Sebastian. Dear Ashley Mendoza, the TFC campaign would like to acknowledge and formally respond to your request for comment on the alleged connections between the campaign and certain entities and corporations, if for no other reason than to put a stop to your constant barrage of voicemails, emails, and other nuisances. Mayor Cross would like to make clear that he has no personal insight into the events of the Copper Cliff car crash. Mayor Cross was at home when the crash occurred. While he was indeed friendly with Harold Richards at the time, the mayor has no involvement in the incident. Any connections made between the mayor and the events of the fatal car crash are purely the result of your own overreactive imagination. We suggest your next investigation be into the concept of confirmation bias or maybe libel. In regards to your other line of questioning, Mayor Cross emphatically states that he would never support any development in Copper Cliffs that would harm our local economy and thriving community of small business owners. As a fifth-generation entrepreneur, Mayor Cross knows that these small businesses are the backbone of the American dream and one of our greatest assets, second only to our pristine Ponderosa pines. Mayor Cross plans on doing everything he can to protect both of them, making Copper Cliffs a destination for all lovers of natural beauty and a model for small towns and cities worldwide. We hope we can count on your vote and support so we can make the future a reality. Sincerely, Sebastian Dyer. So, that's just saying, yeah, nope, you're wrong. Stop badgering us. You are misguided. You need to stop. Once again, the campaign in denial of whatever Ashley was investigating. Then we get to these, and I am gonna tell you what. It's a voice analysis of Lewis, of Kim, of Sebastian, and a voice analysis of Angel Silva. And the Angel Silva voice analysis is based on the interview that he did. So even though it was a written interview that we read, the quote that they used for that voice analysis must have been other microphones there that picked it up. So that's how they have his voice. And really, so to be honest with you, I decided that Angel Silva couldn't be Lewis, so I counted that out. And not even thinking about the possibility of gender reassignment surgery or anything like that, I sort of eliminated Kim. And the first thing I did when I looked at these was I grabbed Angel's and I grabbed Sebastian's, and I compared the bottom two sections are exact matches. And so to me, that was, I realized that the top section isn't really an exact match. I don't really understand what amplitude waveform is. I don't understand what MFCC coefficients are. Pitch contour graph sounds to me like they're sort of, that's a voice analysis. Like that's what, when you watch the movies and they do a voice analysis, I feel like they're analyzing the pitch of the voice. I don't know. That's just in my head the way I've made it up. So I thought it was really, really easy to jump to the conclusion. But just as a double check, if we look at the handwriting for Sebastian Dyer and Angel Silva, well, the S's may not be exact. I think the handwriting is fairly close. It was close enough for me to go ahead and say that, Angel is Sebastian Dyer. Like that is who they are. Now, so I submitted that to Franny, and let me go back to the message board and we'll take a look at Franny's reply. So after we gave her our opinion, her response to us was Sebastian Dyer. Now that you say that, it does make some sense. I'm in the office right now and I don't think Sebastian is here. Let me check. Oh, looks like I'm the only one here. I'm going to take a quick look through his desk. Hang on, we've got a locked one. Oh man, take a look at this. And she sent us a postcard picture. And it's to Tiago Silva. Look who's learning English. It's me. Can't wait to see you and Ava and your little angel. It's been too long. So apparently Tiago is one of Angel's parents. And so, yeah, that just sort of confirms that he is Angel Silva. What we then have is not that, this. So then she says, check out those names, Silva, Angel. It means you're right. Angel and Sebastian are one and the same. I'm going to write this all out on the blog and see if it shakes anything loose. Here you go. So then she sent us a copy of the blog post, the Bear She Wrote post that she is continuing. Someone of TFC's circle is not who they say he is. Who? None other than the right-hand man of the mayor himself, Sebastian Dyer. It seems that Sebastian is really Angel Silva, and I suspect that he was involved in the Copper Cliffs car crash. Why change names? Why keep it secret? Who else knew about this? Keep your eyes open wide while we look for answers, and stay safe. So then the last thing we get to is there's got to be more to all of this. I'm going to see what else I can dig up for you and mail it to you when I can. Take care. Wait, she says. Private message from Anonymous 1 minute ago. Do the smart thing. Walk away. I know who you are, and if you don't stop now, you'll end up just like Ashley. Well, that's not good. So, is this for real? OMG. It's okay, I'll just track down their IP. Just a minute. Proxies, not a good sign. Detective, I don't know what to do here. They can't know who I am. I've been careful. There's no way. It's probably just some creep, right? Or we're really onto something. I gotta go. Watch out and be safe, detective. Please, I'm not stopping. We will find Ashley's murderer, and we will bring them to justice. I'll be back in touch when I know it's safe. And there goes Franny, and she is off. Let's go back to the presentation, and we'll start to wrap it up. Here is the bobblehead that was in the box. That's TFC right there, holding his American flags. The bottom, the base says TFC, Guts of Copper, Heart of Gold. And if you flip it over, there's a code key. And what, pray tell, you may ask, does the code key go to? Well, let me tell you. What I didn't see in the bag when I did the unboxing was this envelope. Found in TFC campaign dumpster. Author unknown 2AS, question mark. And then that's the bag that we had. That's just a better close-up of the bag. It's actually a decent bag. Like, it's one of those bags that you would find, like, buy at Walmart. It's not the most expensive thing in the world, but it'll do. So, inside of this envelope were 16 pieces of paper, or 16 pieces of a note that were torn up. And when you put the note together, it looked like that. They gave us the key. So laying out the key and decoding the scrambled letter, the note reads, I've always considered patience one of your virtues, so I'm surprised by your demands. We had a deal. Stay strong, and better things will come once I've won. It wasn't too long ago you were a broke carpool driver. Do you want to go back to that? If I go down, everyone else is going down with me. You most of all. So stay the course. Yours truly, the friendly chap. So my thoughts on this is this note is from Harold. This note is from Harold because it was given to Sebastian, who is TFC's right-hand man. Why would TFC and Sebastian be fighting? Why would there be threats? I don't think that makes sense. It makes more sense that he and Harold have some sort of a business agreement, which would explain why Lewis and Sebastian got into an argument. It was Sebastian, right, that got into the argument with Lewis outside of the canyons at the country club. I believe so. So that's really where we are for now with this. So we know that Sebastian is Angel Silva. We know, or can pretty much confirm, that Angel Silva was around the point of the accident at about the time of the accident, and possibly Thomas Ford Cross was in the car with Angel Silva, or Angel Silva stopped because Thomas Ford Cross was involved in the accident somehow and Silva gave him a ride home. I don't know. There's something odd right there going on. This was actually a fairly quick puzzle box this week to solve. I mean, they gave us a code that they handed us the key for. And so there wasn't a lot of thinking that had to go into it. But now I need to talk about Franny Rollins and the things about Franny Rollins that annoy me. And I'm going to start this by saying, when I was at Ohio State, I took a creative writing class, and it was like a workshop class. Like every week we had an assignment, write a story. We had to make enough copies. There were 12 people in my class and the teacher, so I had to make 12 copies. 12 people including me. So 11 copies for students, 1 copy for the teacher, and then we run around the table, read it, and gave comments and opinions. And I had written a story, and I was describing inside of a cabin, and I had written the story, and inside the cabin, describing what was on the desk, and I mentioned that the guy was a gun collector, and there was a gun sitting on the desk, and it looked like he was cleaning it. There was, a rag or something and some gun oil, and they stopped me, and the teacher said, they finished the story, then they stopped me, and the teacher said, you can't do that. It's an unwritten literary law that if you write a gun into the scene, the gun has to go off. I mean, it's an unwritten rule, but it's a known rule that if you write a scene, if you write a description in a book, and there's a gun sitting there, the gun has to go off. It has to be used. And I'm using that sort of philosophy to say, when you give us letters by a tech-savvy computer hacker that she writes, prints, and then makes edits and stuff on, that's just odd behavior that you need to explain. This just can't be flavor. If this is just flavor, I don't want to say it because I love these mysteries, but if this is truly just flavor, it's poorly executed. She's a hacker, but all of our stuff comes in the mail. The last box we had, Mallory Rock, a lot of what we did, a lot of what we saw was, things came in the mail, but a lot of what we saw was on our dashboard. Here, we're getting so much more stuff in the mail. She's a hacker, but the first opportunity she has to hack something simple, like the database at the campaign, she's like, oh, I don't want to do it. I don't want to break the law. That's risky. By nature of being a hacker, isn't that what you do? Like, that's what hackers do. They break the law. You don't hack into something legally. So I don't know if there's something about her that's fishy, and Hunter Killer does a great job with these stories. They do a great job with the characters, with the mysteries, with the clues, with the background, with the red herrings, all that stuff. If this is just a red herring, if all of this isn't something, they've missed the boat. And I'm going to be truly disappointed. Because there are just too many gaps in the character of Ashley. And so I hope it's not poor execution by the story team or whoever develops the characters. I hope that there is something more to this. There needs to be something more to this, because this gives the indication that there's something going on, and I don't know, it just can't be a red herring. I would be so disappointed. Anyhow, that's our video for today. I'd like to thank everybody for watching. And as usual, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or criticisms, please do leave a comment down below. I read all of the comments on all of my videos, and I reply to the comments. I want to thank everybody for watching these videos, and I hope that you all have a great week.